Well, good morning, everybody. Travels with Dottie here, and it is 7 a.m. precisely, November 11th, 2023. And I decided as I was sitting here waiting for 7 a.m. to come, and there are a couple of reasons why I waited to 7. One is the light earlier was terrible. I've been on the road for a while, so you wouldn't be able to see me or the road very well. This seems pretty good. So I decided while I was thinking about it, this is my favorite day of the year since I've been full-time RVing. Why is it my favorite day of the year? It's because I'm going to Quartzsite for the winter. Quartzsite. I'm so excited. Here's how excited I was. I was just finished with Deborah Dickinson's Cocoa Fest, her annual rally, YouTuber, and it's Deborah Dickinson and Frugal RV Gal put on this every year at City of Rock State Park in New Mexico. And to me, that's the kickoff for the winter season. I go to that, and I'll talk a little bit more about that event a little later. So I was going to leave this morning at 7 a.m. because it's 483 miles from City of Rocks to where I'm camping in Quartzsite this winter. And yeah, 483 miles in a day is a long, long drive. And why am I doing it in a day? Because I can't do it I can't spend the night. I'm so excited. There's no way I could drive and stop halfway or something when I know it's physically possible to get there in one day. So I'm doing 483 miles. I don't drive that fast. Like the speed limit here on I-10, I'm on in Arizona. I crossed the New Mexico border behind me a little while ago. I'm coming up on about 20 or 30 miles to Wilcox, and that's important. Wilcox is very significant, and hopefully I remember to tell you why a little later. I've totally lost my train of thought because of Wilcox, and you'll understand that when I tell you about Wilcox. So I decided, hey, if I leave at 7 a.m., 483 miles, I definitely have to stop once for gas because else I'll run out of gas. I was saying I drive pretty slow. Like the speed limit's 75 here, I'm doing 65. I'm pulling my trailer. I'm not going 75. I'm just not going to do it. I want to be safe, and this is everything I own and every physical thing that I care about. Not to mention my dog Dottie and my cat George. And those of you wondering, George is doing fine. George has a prescription kitty tranquilizer on board, and she's doing fine. And it's helping that this trip today, it's long, but it's fairly smooth. George gets sick when it's bumpy, and he's so miserable. And I've tried so many things. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that the medication I've given him today will get him through to Quartzsite without getting sick, and he gets terrible motion sickness. And he's going to be a very happy kitty because he's not going to have to move anywhere until like April. So that's pretty exciting for George. And fingers crossed that George is okay and doesn't have to go through being sick. So just to get this out of the way, what's this video about? Well, it's going to be me talking enthusiastically about Quartzsite and how I feel about it and everything. Very little practical information, I think, maybe about Quartzsite. If you want, I've got this video that's been very popular. It's 10 things you need to know about Quartzsite before you go. And at the end of the video, I'll put a thing where you can click on that and watch that. People really like that. I get to the point right away with the 10 things. No hemming and pawing, no introductions, no product placements. I get right into the 10 things that you need to know. So if you want practical stuff, skip to the end, click that, or just look for in my channel Quartzsite 10 things travels with Dottie. If you put that in the search thing, you're gonna get my video. so excited about going to Quartzsite? Well, it all started when, I was back in Virginia working my full-time job, wondering about retirement. Was in my late 50s and mid to late 50s at the time. And I found, like so many of you out there, Bob Wells, Cheap RV Living, and he talked about Quartzsite. And I got kind of fascinated that so many RVers show up to Quartzsite. And I got following Hobotech, if you know him, in Sasnak, which is Kansas backwards. He's a trucker. The two of them are friends. And back in 2020, they said, well, we're going to be camping together in BLM land outside Quartzsite for a couple of weeks. And any viewer is welcome to come. We'll have a campfire every night. Please don't camp 6 inches from us, but camp in the area, and they'll blow a horn at campfire time, and everybody would converge. So that, well, I'm going to take, I think I took 3 weeks off from work in January, and I pulled my trailer. I had a trailer back then. I went, not the one I have now, but it was the first long trip I had with my trailer, and I drove out there. And so the first lesson I learned, luckily, is if you're going to come to Quartzsite, figure out who you're going to camp with. If you want to have the experience that I get excited about, find a group to camp with, because as I talk about this, you're going to discover what it's all about are the relationships. There's wonderful physical things about the area and Quartzsite and stuff, but that's not the thing that has my heart beating and so excited right now. It's the people. And as you go, if you become full-time or you take vacations every winter and you go every year, those relationships are going to build, and you're going to know more and more people and get closer to more and more people, and it's going to get, the excitement builds over time steadily. Anyway, that's the way it's been for me. Another big part of it is, so that was vacation. When I went full time the next year, I believe it was the next year, 2021. I retired December 1st, 2021. I'm coming up in December 1st, it'll be 2 years, retired and full time on the road. The day I retired, I drove towards Quartzsite. And there was another YouTuber rally, and it's called Next Exit, Bob and Pearl. They still have a very active channel, and you had to kind of apply to be part of the rally. You either had to be retired or in this planning stages of retirement. And that was in Quartzsite at the LTVA, and so I went to that knowing no one there at all. I've never met Bob and Pearl, but it was, I think, and anybody, Tim or Kathleen or even Bob and Pearl, correct me in the comments, but I think it was close to like 80 rigs or something, 70 or 80 rigs. It was over 100 people. It was big. Most of the rigs were either fifth wheels or big Class A's, and it was in the aerial view. We're in a big, very organized circle, and as you fly over, you see all these big rigs, and if you pay close attention, there's a little tiny Winnebago Micro Mini between like two huge rigs. That was me. And so I'm parked between these two guys. Tim was in a Class A, and there was I forget who was on the other side of me. It'll come to me later. But anyway, so I started I participated in the activities, and fast forward, Tim who I was randomly parked next to, I consider one of my best friends in my life right now. And as a matter of fact, they discontinued the rally. They didn't do it again the next year. But Tim and I came back and we camped in the same spot, and we're doing it again this year. So it's the same spot the original rally was. Tim is there right now. He's been there for almost a week, and I'm going to surprise him because I said I'm going to leave at 7 a.m., so that'll get me there around 4:30 or something. But I was so excited when I woke up at 3:30 this morning. I ended up leaving City of Rocks at 4:51 a.m. So there's no traffic. I'm doing my 65 miles an hour. It's 7:10 now, and I've put on 138 miles. So I'm going to guess, barring any unforeseen things, which is a full-time RVer, you got to be ready for that. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So he's gonna be shocked to see me there that early, but I can't wait to get there. I love my little spot there. I love Quartzsite. I love my friends, and the other big thing that's helped me is last year I went to my first Deborah Dickinson Frugal RV Gal Cocoa Fest. And like this year there were 53 people there, and you spend 4 or 5 days doing things with people. You get to know them really well, and a lot of these people go to Quartzsite. Last year, 2 years ago, Deborah invited me to come over to Randy the Mobile Traveler's The Spot. That's where Randy sets up this camp every year in Quartzsite, and it happened to be less than a half a mile from the place that I camp. So I'd ride my e-bike over there every day, and I remember the first year was a little intimidating. No one seemed, I didn't know anybody, but I hung around. And then the next year, I came back, and I'm riding in my e-bike, and people are like, Rob, hey, Rob. It just feels good. I feel like Norm in Cheers when people recognize me. And so, all those experiences have led me to, I'm excited because I'm going to a place that's filled with people that I really, really like a lot. And I have the joy of spending time with them, and that's why I left it before 5 o'clock this morning. It's because I'm so excited to get there. The other thing I forgot in the rally that was big too is before this was the big rally 2 years ago with Bob and Pearl, and we all signed up to be in the rally, and they had a mechanism. As my camera moved. Whoa. Okay, that was very dangerous what I just did. I went to adjust my camera and I wasn't paying attention, and I swerved over to the other lane. Not talking, trying to doing multiple things at the same time is stupid when you're driving. And so I drifted over into the left lane, and I'm just stupid lucky because there was not an 18-wheeler or a car or a motorcycle there. But God forbid a motorcycle. That would be far worse than the other things. If there was a car there or a truck, we're talking property damage. If I had swerved into a motorcycle, I could have killed somebody. So I'm going to refocus. I'm okay with talking and driving as long as I'm not doing a third thing. And you notice I'm not really looking at the camera much because I want to be safe and I want to be looking at the road and remembering to check my mirrors. So anyway, the next exit, YouTube channel, Bob and Pearl, they had a way for us to communicate ahead of time. And I got a message from Kathleen, and she said, hey, I'm going to the rally too. I live in Florida, and I noticed that you're a counselor, a psychotherapist. And I also noticed, I guess she might have been watching my, I guess I put my bio, and she said, I also noticed you were at one time a paramedic. And she said, oddly enough, I'm going to the rally. I'm a licensed counselor. She's a marriage counselor, and I was a former paramedic, and we were about the same age. And I'm like, that's amazing. So we started writing back and forth, and I had a little mission to go on before the rally. I wanted to go to Pahrump to establish residency, which takes 30 days. And I was telling her about that. She met me up in Pahrump. And we stayed in the same RV park and got to know each other. And again, we've become close friends because we met that way, and we got to know each other even better at the rally. She parked kind of right near me. And this is pretty exciting. You ready for this, guys? Kathleen is coming to camp with us this year, and she's coming tomorrow. She's coming Sunday. So that's pretty exciting. And also I met someone, a really cool person. Her name's Yvonne, and this is an interesting story. Yvonne was in Quartzsite last year, and I was on one of the Facebook community pages for Quartzsite, and she was making comments on something, and I thought she was really funny, so I sent her a private message. Now, you kind of, if you're a single guy, or especially a single older guy like me, and you're sending private messages to women, you take the risk that you're not going to hear back, right? But I almost didn't hear back from her. In the way she tells it, she goes, she went into town and she went to Main Street Laundry and went into the little restaurant there and for coffee, a little coffee shop, and looked up on the wall, and there was a little poster, an ad for Travels with Dottie. Oh shit, that's him. And that convinced her to respond to me, and I was thrilled about that, because I felt like, hey, we have the same sense of humor. And we were going to make arrangements to meet face to face in Quartzsite, and suddenly she owned property in Florida, and she got an offer, and she had to travel quickly back to Florida to sell her property. And I think at first she was going to come back, but shit, I think this was January, maybe February, I'm not sure. It was late in the season, and there was just no way she was going to make it back. So we didn't get to meet. But we continued to direct message on Facebook, and then we started talking on the phone. And as good of friends as it's possible to get without physically meeting someone, that's what Yvonne and I have. As close a friendship as you can have without meeting each other. But guess what? I'm going to meet Yvonne. Not only going to meet Yvonne in person, and her two girls, and her girls are little dogs. And I don't know both of them. One is Becky, and apparently Becky is a strongly self-willed character dog. Very demanding. I would tell you the word that Yvonne uses to describe Becky often, but this is a family channel. But she loves Becky. She loves her girls. She's coming out here to camp with us. So she's going to meet Kathleen. She's going to meet Tim. She's going to meet the gang from Canada and all my other friends. So I'm really super excited to see Yvonne face to face. I mean, so now you're getting the idea of why I've been babbling for 20 minutes about being so excited about Quartzsite, and sort of the secret to why people get so excited about Quartzsite. You noticed I haven't talked about a restaurant, or the Big Tent Show, or the RTR, or the trips to New Mexico, or the trips to Lake Havasu, or the wonders of the desert and the sunsets. That's all cool stuff, but that is not why I'm so excited. I'm so excited about the people. And also it's snowballing a little bit, because my YouTube channel is starting to grow. I'm closing in on 3,000 subscribers. And let me tell you something. Really, from the bottom of my heart, when you comment on my videos, my heart leaps out of my chest. I love it when you guys comment. And those of you that comment know you get some kind of a response almost immediately, because they pop up on my phone. You have a comment, and I go in there right away. And sometimes I try to respond by other than just hearting it. I try to write a comment, and I promise I'm going to do better with that, because it's a little annoying. The bigger YouTube channels, they just go through and heart all the comments, and when they get big enough, they're not even reading them because there's not enough time in the day. I read every one. I swear I read every single word that you guys type to me. And Barb, this is for you. Barb was wondering, I was wondering, I don't want to bother him. I don't want to feel like I'm stalking. Barb, sweetheart, you are welcome to comment every video 10 times. I don't care. I love it when you comment. So please comment on my videos, and I'll try to, take the time to answer you in a way that convinces you that I've really heard and understood what you're saying. So it's snowballing a little too, because even last year, a few people recognized me as Travels with Dottie, and one of the reasons I'm doing the two-way thing is so people can see my face, because so many of my videos I don't have my face. Well, I'm seeing now that, because the sun's coming up, you're not going to see my face very well, are you, unless I put my arm up. But anyway, that's probably enough for right now. So I'm going to pause the video. And if anybody's interested, the route I'm taking is Interstate 10 to Interstate 8 outside of Phoenix, and I'm going to take 8 down south to Yuma, and then 95 north. Why don't I go straight? Because the road I remember it being terrible between Phoenix and Quartzsite, so it's smoother and more relaxing to go Interstate 8 through Yuma and just go north on 95. But I'll turn it back on and update you. I know this is going to be a long video, but some of you like long videos, and you might like it that I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be doing this. And when I turn the camera back on, I think the sun will be a little bit better. You can see me a little bit better, and I'll talk some more about my love affair with Quartzsite, Arizona. See you in a few. Hey, I'm back sooner than I thought, because I forgot. I told you I would tell you why Wilcox, Arizona was so important to me. Last year, I drove from Pahrump to New Mexico to Deborah's meetup, and it was along this stretch of road going the other way that I ran into, even as a paramedic and firefighter, the most horrific accident scene I've ever seen. And it was a Class A that was driving where I'm driving right now in the same direction. And what happened is their steering tire blew out, and it caused them, do you see that median to the left with all the bushes and stuff? They were going at high speed, and it caused them to cross that median involuntarily, and they struck a 18-wheeler loaded with concrete blocks going the other way head on. And this happened, I was maybe a mile behind, so I had to sit in traffic about a little less than a mile behind the accident, and I sat and I watched emergency vehicles come, and I watched the Life Flight helicopter come. And I knew it was a fatality because I watched the helicopter do one orbit around the accident scene and then leave, and that will mean that either the injuries were minor or they were already deceased. So it just, I waited, probably 45 minutes, and they started to move traffic, if I remember correctly. And I just had my phone up on the dash, and I just had the presence of mind to record what I was seeing as I passed. And what I saw shocked me. What was left of this Class A RV was simply the chassis and the wheels. Just picture this. All that you could see was the wheels and the frame of the chassis. Everything above the wheels was obliterated, and there was a huge debris field. And as I went by really slowly, I noticed a trooper standing in front of a small pile of debris, and he appeared to me to be guarding it. And I looked, and it appeared to be one of the bodies in the debris. It wasn't real obvious or overtly gory, but I decided. I spent a couple days trying to find out what happened. In this accident, 2 people were killed in the RV, and there was not a single news outlet anywhere that covered the story. I found out what happened because I went to the Wilcox Fire Department. It's WILLCOX, the Wilcox Fire Department Facebook page, and they covered what happened. So that's how I got my information on what happened. And so it's a 1.5-minute video or something. Also, what happened, this was wild, as I'm processing what I saw and I kept driving, I was pretty shook up by it. Keep in mind, I was a firefighter paramedic, and I'd never seen that kind of devastation before. And I hear a roar, and all these motorcycles go by me, and they were Mongols. And if you don't know what they are, that's the equivalent, that's a motorcycle club at the same level as like Hell's Angels. It's very intimidating. So I included that in the video too. But the intent of the video was to get people to check their friggin' tires. Check your tires and understand what to do if you have a tire blowout, how to handle that without losing control of your rig. And I ended up putting on a video at the end of it, tagging it from the RV Training Academy, where they talk about that. So that was really my only intent, and I left the Mongols on there just because it happened and it was interesting. Well, I put that up, and I was on my way to Deborah Dickinson's and Frugal's RV Gals meetup, and I uploaded it and put it out there and showed it to Deborah, and Deborah said, "Hey, you got to be careful. I know it's not, like, you look at the video, it's not super obvious that there's a body there, but if you pay close attention, and I'm only about 95% sure what I'm looking at was a body." But she said, and I don't even know if this is right or not, but I trust Deborah. She's right about 99% of the things that she talks about. She said, if you don't put a warning in your title and your description, you could potentially, with a complaint, lose your YouTube channel. So you need to say graphic content. And I tell you, a lot of thousands of people thought I put that out there just to get views. And I didn't do it. I didn't do it to make it, they call it clickbait. And I even put in the description, after all these criticisms came through, please read my description before you accuse me of clickbait. So the description was what I just explained to you, and I wanted to warn people. There was never a news story on this at all, but what did happen on almost the 1-year anniversary is somebody got a hold of someone's dash cam footage that showed the accident happening. So I went in and I linked that video so you can see the aftermath and the accident. My video's still out there. I can't remember what it's called, but you'd have to go into Travels with Dottie, and if you can sort it by views, maybe you can find it. But it's about it, or you'd have to scroll down, going back like a year, to see it if that's something that you want to see. And believe me, I hope it's enough for me to say these couple of things to you. Every trip, look at your tires. If you see anything that looks abnormal on your tires, seek help, seek professional help before you go on the trip. Or limp to a tire store and have them look at it. Maintain proper tire pressure and have a tire pressure monitoring system. What am I talking about? These things are not expensive. It's a system where, and you know the little, where you put air in the tire, the little plastic cap? Well, these sensors replace that cap and they transmit your temperature of your tire and the pressure of your tire to a little receiver inside your cabin. Mine's right up here. And if there's a spike in temperature, a spike in pressure, either up or down, it's going to beep and warn you. And hopefully that warning will be enough to get you to stop immediately and pull over before you have something catastrophic happen. If you do have a blowout, jamming on the brakes is a bad idea. You want to slow down, and you want to try to drive through it and keep driving straight. Go on YouTube and find, type in instructions on how to handle a tire blowout, and find reputable people that know more than me. I'm not an expert. And the RV Training Academy in Texas, they have a great video that I've tagged on my accident video. Please be careful. And that is the only reason I put that video out there. And plenty of people don't believe me, because when I first got there, after uploading the video at Deborah's thing, I'm like, Deborah, you're not going to believe it. There's 1,000 views. And then I'd see her the next morning, Deborah, there's 5,000 views. Next morning, Deborah, there's 10,000 views. Well, fast forward a year, there's been over 1 million views on the video. 1 million. So it's like 40% of my views for my channel is this one 90-minute video. But anyway, if you can hear me on my warnings about tire pressure monitor, checking your tire, don't go watch the video. It's traumatizing watching it. All I care is that you get the message to be careful, and you can do that. We can accomplish this mission without you being traumatized by watching the video. So, because 1 million views is enough. Really, it's fine. But I want the message to get out there. So anyway, that's why I'm back for another 10 minutes, and I'll see you when I get further down the road. Okay, had to turn it back on. This is called Texas Canyon, and as usual, the camera's not going to do it justice, but maybe as we get closer here, you can see these rock formations. It kind of reminds me of where I just came from, City of Rocks. This is pretty wild. I guess you can see the bigger ones there on the right, but it's called Texas Canyon, and it's really cool, pretty cool stretch of road here. It's hard to get bored when you have scenery like this. You can see that it's almost 8 o'clock, so we got heavier and heavier traffic, but we're still making good times. Not good times, we're making good time. I've got 181 miles so far I've put on, so that's a big chunk of the 483. Not half yet, but we're getting there. Ooh, there's more up here. I think I'll leave it on so until the scenery goes back to semi-normal. So you can see these big ass rocks everywhere. They should call it City of Rocks Canyon. I don't know why they call it Texas Canyon. And, just as if anybody's interested, 9.8 miles per gallon is what I'm getting. And I think that's because going from New Mexico, Deming, New Mexico to Quartzsite, I think you do a steady rise and then fall in elevation. So I'm betting after about the midpoint, I'll start descending in elevation, and my prediction is I end up with about 10.8 miles per gallon at the end of the trip. We'll see. Well, that looks like that's the end of the interesting stuff. I'll be back. Alrighty, I am back again. It's been quite a while. I have 390 miles under my belt here, and it's about 11:20, and I think I'll probably arrive in Quartzsite between 1 and 1:30. And I'm at Interstate 8 coming into, looks like on the map, probably an hour away from Yuma, and another hour or so from Yuma up to the LTVA in Quartzsite. I was going to mention that, I was coming west on Interstate 10, and you might wonder if you're familiar, Robert, why didn't you just keep going on 10? That's the most direct route. Well, my experience has been going through Phoenix is, even on a weekend, on a Saturday, is usually pretty heavy traffic. And more importantly, I found the interstate between Phoenix and Quartzsite to be very, very rough, very not well maintained. Now, for all I know, they've repaved it completely, but I think I would have heard about that. And one of the things that makes George sick, and George, by the way, has so far been good, is rough roads. That's where the motion sickness really kicks in. And the Interstate 8 here is buttery smooth. So I head, south, and Interstate 8 runs parallel south of Interstate 10. And when I get to Yuma, I take State Highway 95 going north, and that runs right into the LTVA short south of Quartzsite. So I won't be going through Quartzsite to get to camp. And I'm quite familiar with the trip between Yuma and Quartzsite on State Highway 95, because I go to Yuma frequently, and it's usually Mexico I'm going to, Algodones, which is, you go down to Yuma, you actually hop on 8 here, go about 10 miles, and then there's an exit at a casino, and that's where you find the parking lot where you can walk across the border to Mexico. So that's why I'm so familiar with that, because I probably made 10 trips to Algodones last year, and I'll probably make 10 more this year because I really enjoy going down there. And I'm trying to think of what else. Dottie seems fine. I haven't heard a peep out of George. I don't smell anything that tells me George has gotten sick, so that's a good thing. And if George can just hang on for another couple of hours, I think he's going to be good. I really don't want to give more medication because I'm worried about too much medication. He's just a little kitty cat. It's pretty boring scenery, as you can see. It's desert. To the left, you can't really see much on the left because I changed it to a little bit more narrow view because the resolution was better. But as I look off to the left to the mountains, I know that's Mexico. And as we get closer and closer to Yuma, the Mexican border gets closer and closer on the left there. heading south. I'm heading west. And there's a mileage sign up here. I'll let you know how far it is to Yuma. My guess is going to be about 70 miles. Let's see what it says. See, the speed limit 75, but of course I'm going 65. Let's see. 82 miles to Yuma, so a little bit further. San Diego, 260 miles. So if I kept going 260 miles on this road, I'd run into the Pacific Ocean. It's pretty cool, huh? Well, I will next turn the camera on unless something extraordinary happens. I'm going to turn it on when I pull into the LTVA to pay my $180 for my season pass. See you soon. I'm still excited, yes. I have arrived at the long-term visitor area, and let me tell you, I was stupid. I'm on fumes. It's showing 3 miles to empty, and there were no gas stations. I should have filled up in Yuma. I didn't do it. I'm a moron. Yes, I am. Hopefully, I have enough gas to get to the campsite on hook and get into town and fill up my tank. I actually have a spare tank in the back. And I use that. I can't believe I'm almost out of gas. It's just amazing. Actually, I was gonna stop here and buy my tags and everything. I'm just gonna go straight to camp. And, well, actually, I'm going to stop at the dump station first and then go to camp. And then I'll buy the ticket. I may even skip the dump station. It's showing 2 miles to empty. I think I'm going to skip the dump station. Shit. Especially if there's any kind of line here. Well, I'll do it later. Well, good morning, everybody. I promised you the follow-up for the end of the Quartzsite video. It was quite exciting. As you can see, I'm here. I'll show you. That's Tim beside me. And I'll show you my view. This is my third year in this exact spot. I'm pretty happy about it. So that's my lovely view that I see sunsets on. And I'm pretty happy to be here, so you probably want to know, what was my little mini drama yesterday? Well, I don't know if this is typical Rob or typical experience over 60, but I pretty meticulously plan. Here's my solar panels. Got them set out this morning, and I'm raking in that free energy. Well, a couple of things happened. One, potentially disastrous, but so I drove. It ended up being 520 miles. I thought it was going to be 471, and I don't know how I made that mistake. I think I've looked at the route incorrectly, but it was I-10 to Interstate 8 to Yuma, and then 95 up to Quartzsite. And I left with a full tank of gas. About halfway, I stopped and filled it again. And my thought was, well, that's plenty. I'll have gas left over to buzz around in Quartzsite. And I went through Yuma, and just so you know, between Yuma and Quartzsite on 95, there's nothing. There's not even shoulders. And I pride myself on, I scanned my tire pressures, tire temperatures, temperature of the truck. I scanned my gauges. Guess what gauge I wasn't scanning? I get a warning when it says you have 50 miles left in this tank. And I checked the remaining distance to Quartzsite, and it was like 70 miles. And I'm like, I'm in trouble. I'm pulling my trailer. There's not only is there no gas stations, there's no shoulders really on this road to speak of. And I did have a 5-gallon can in the back with gas in it from last year. It did have stabilizer in it. And I think I had about 3 gallons left in it. So I pulled over, and it was difficult to get the gas in the tank just because of the way the carrying tank was designed. And I spilled a lot of it. But I probably got 2 gallons in and probably spilled 1 gallon. Well, so the calculation on the truck wasn't really adjusting well, but by the time I got to La Posa South, it was showing 1 mile left. So I didn't stop and get my permit. I didn't stop and dump my tank. When I got to camp, it said 0 miles left. So at least I could drop the trailer, and there wasn't a drop left in the auxiliary tank. So I held my breath, disconnected the trailer, and headed into Quartzsite, and I made it. It's only a couple miles away. And I have a 36-gallon gas tank, and it took 34 3/4. So it had about 1 gallon left. Now, in reality, driving the truck on a gallon and a quarter of gas, I probably could have gone 25 miles. My point is that if I had not had that extra tank of 3 gallons, I would have run out of gas on 95, where there's really nowhere to pull over. So I think part of it was I got so excited about coming to Quartzsite, I couldn't sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I started getting ready, and I left at like 4:51 in the morning. And by the end of the trip, I was pretty tired, which is not a great idea. But I didn't feel tired because I was so energized and excited. Then, this is almost too embarrassing to tell you about. I've been losing things lately. An important electronic gadget. It's worth about $100. I lost it in camp yesterday. We were trying to do a live, and I think it dropped and it got kicked pretty far into the desert. I looked everywhere and I couldn't find it. Ripped apart my trailer. You know how frustrating that can be when you lose something? It's always the last place you look or you never find it again. And I'm in the never find it again category. And that wasn't so bad. But then last night, after I hung around with my campmates and I went back inside, I couldn't find my phone. Okay, we're used to that. I looked around outside, I looked everywhere. And I have this device that's shaped like a credit card that keeps in touch with the phone. And all I have to do is punch a button and the phone makes sounds. And lo and behold, it was really loud right there in the camper. I still couldn't find it. I mean, every time I walked towards the noise, it seemed to be coming from the opposite direction behind me. So I turn around and I'd walk the other way and I get to where I thought I heard it come from and it was behind me again. And I got to tell you, I was losing my mind. This went on for about 45 minutes. And I finally said, okay, I'm going to sit down and relax for a minute. And I sat down on the bed and I felt something on my butt. It was my phone in my back pocket, which explains like every time we turned around, the noise was coming from behind me. I swear, I thought, okay, this is early signs of dementia. This is going to be it for me. After almost running out of gas, losing my little microphone gadget in City of Rocks, and then this fiasco with the phone. But everything's fine now. I'm replacing the thing I lost. Things get lost. I gave myself some advice. Rob, if you don't normally put your phone in your back pocket, don't ever put it in your back pocket. Well, I am in Quartzsite. I'm going to go over to the spot. I'm going to see some friends over there, including Randy, the mobile traveler. And then I'm going to try to make it into town to do a load of laundry and buy some dog treats for Dottie Dog. And got to tell you guys, I am really, really excited to be here. This is just great. I'm in Quartzsite. I love it. So those of you coming to Quartzsite, check out my 10 things about Quartzsite that you need to know. And look forward this season to a lot of videos from me. I like doing shorts on local businesses, and I'm going to repeat the ones I did last year, and I'm going to do the new ones, and I'm going to have a ball doing it, meeting people, local people that own businesses, and I just love getting out there and meeting new people. So that's what I'm going to do. Y'all take care of yourself. I hope you're having as much fun in your life as I am. Take care.